What's up? What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hopefully, y'all can hear me and you're doing good.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're
Sweet.
doing
Yeah, buddy.
I don't got none of the
very well.
drops or anything. I gotta figure out how to set that up. But welcome, everyone. Hopefully, you guys are able to see us. You can join us. Good to see all of you guys. You're looking really good in your little setups. Welcome to Insensitive Culture live on Saturday as we break down a little bit, but at least discuss this wonderful, dope new show of Loki. I'm super hyped for this. How you guys hyped about this? How you feeling?
Loving it already.
Already.
Word.
Yeah. Just that one
it's
episode.
so good. So good.
I don't want to say WandaVision vibes, but
Dave, just don't speak that into the universe. You'll feel better at the end of it.
I'm excited that it already feels more like the MCU that we're used to, like it's changing it. Because with WandaVision, it felt like something brand new. We didn't know what was going on with the black and white and everything. So I wouldn't say WandaVision vibes, but I would definitely say that it just you could just feel like, oh, this feels real good. Familiar character, new experiences that deal with old experiences. Loving it.
Word.
Yeah, I wonder what else we might get for callbacks through this, because obviously time traveling is just a mainstay of the MCU now, and I think Endgame definitely changed that mentality. It's going to be a big part of the next few phases.
Yeah, this freaking show, I mean, it started off, I like how it picked up right at the end. And we kind of knew that's based off of the trailers that it was going to pick up right at the part of Endgame where Loki grabs the Tesseract. Yeah. And it seemed to me like they used most of the same shots, maybe a few kind of different reaction shots from Loki. But for the most part, it seemed like they just used the same shots from Endgame and were able to just weave that in, and then we pick right back up, and he lands like in the Gobi Desert, I think it was.
Yep.
Which kind of threw me off because I totally forgot that the Space Stone, which is what the Tesseract is, only moves you around in space, not like in like different times or anything. So it's not like he can change to be someplace else. He just ended up on another place on Earth.
So I heard something that made that scene make a lot more sense, where it was almost a callback to the original Iron Man when Tony Stark was in the suit and they found him, like he walks out as he made himself out, but also that it was a representation of someone who was a bad guy in a sense, right? Who had a moral change and is now working to be more of just like this, this good guy, this playful good guy. And it was a representation of that transition.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I saw that same thing, and it was like because Tony he's held captive. He makes the suit. He gets out of the cave and lands in the desert, all broken up. But like that's the beginning of his change as a person, because he goes right back to work and says Stark Industries is done with weapons. I'm doing all this other stuff now. And I think with Loki, it was more there was a little bit of a slower burn, but it does make sense. And by the end of that episode, they packed Loki's character development from the end of the first Avengers, that finally, his story ended in Infinity War. They packed all of that character development into just this one episode, because like when Mobius.
Yeah.
Mobius.
I keep wanting to say Morbius, but I know that's
Morbius. Yeah,
I know.
Me too.
When Mobius tells him, he's like, you exist to bring out the better in everyone, and he's like rewatching everything, and he puts it together finally, and like you're like, okay, like holy shit, they actually did this. They actually put Loki that we knew by the end of his life. They put him back. He's right. This is the character. This is going to be a better version of the character, even. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes.
I thought it was really interesting too in this scene where he's looking at the timeline and he gets to the end of his death, how they kind of placed it. I seen it on some YouTube video where they point out how the camera placement when he says, you know, when he's saying to Thanos, "You will never be a god," he's kind of talking to himself, right? Like you'll never really be the glorious purpose that you swear you think you have. So that was freaking amazingly done.
That was the moment he gave up on fighting the TVA anymore. He's just like, what's the purpose of me going back if that is how it's going to end up? I'm just going to die.
Yeah. I feel like every time we see Loki, previously throughout Phase 3, he was always like the smartest dude in the room, or at least he thought he was. Like, he had a plan, he was in control, he was lying, he was conniving. And then this first episode, like, he was none of that, dude. He was reduced to just being a dude that was locked up, in the TVA. There was no magic and he couldn't do shit there. So to see him just so vulnerable like that, just he seemed cool. Like, I would chill with him. Like, that Loki, like, that was just sort of hanging out, dude. Like, I'd be like, dude, let's kick it. Let's shoot the shit. And I don't know. It was different to see him just powerless, literally and metaphorically. Like, he was fucked. he realized it too. It took that whole episode for him to be like, shit, I really can't get out of here.
Right.
And I liked that they gave they showed those scenes from Ragnarok too, where Thor is like explaining to him, like, you've always, I've looked up to you, but like, you've always done your own thing. And then that end scene where he's like, if you were here, I'd give you a hug, and showed that like he did grow. He's watching the growth that he could have had if he didn't jump out of the timeline. And I think by the end of it, realized that like he does actually want to be that person, but he can't be that Loki anymore. So how can he actually help the TVA and whatnot? So
do we know how many episodes this season is going to be?
I think this one's a 6. Yeah.
6? Okay, because that makes sense, because they really built him up to be the anti-hero style, the converted Loki really quickly through episode 1, and now we've got 5 more episodes of seeing him be the mischievous scamp, as they said, and really kind of see how he guides the story and helps them figure out who's really doing what they're doing.
To get back to go ahead.
Did we get one wow out of Owen Wilson at all?
I don't think so.
Not in episode 1.
Okay.
I saw something, I think on Instagram or something, that was like they had so many opportunities that they didn't do it. I was like, they have to by the end of this. Like, there's got to be a place for a wow.
Just one.
Yeah, it's not too late.
Very end of the series.
I was actually wanting to talk a little bit about his experience in TVA, because there was a lot of stuff that happened in there, that also brought him to reality. And I think that was a big turning stone when he realized, like, he was trying to get the Tesseract back. And even when the dude saw it, I love that comment when he was just like, yeah, it sounds dumb. When he was trying to explain, like, the glowing cube, he's like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, that sounds dumb.
Right.
And then we find out that it's because they're literally, like, magic does not work in the TVA. The Infinity Stones are just paperweights. Like, it's like there is no magic here. And he was just in awe of the fact that he's seeing this advanced civilization, he's seeing flying cars, he's seeing all this stuff, and he's like, but you said there's no magic here. He's like, yeah, there's not. So you know, and you know, with all of that and the way that just like blew his mind, I think really what brought it down was the fact that the Infinity Stones were useless. So what is he going to do?
Yeah. That's like the most powerful thing he knows, right? And if that doesn't have any power, what am I even doing here?
Yeah, because he had the Tesseract. He had what stone did he have in the scepter too? The Mind Stone.
The Mind Stone. Yep.
So he had the Mind Stone. So all of his whole planning was around these.
He grabbed the Time Stone out of the drawer. That's the one he grabbed, and it was like nothing.
Yep. It's great.
It was kind of weird that they said that only some people use them as paperweights. I don't know if that's just writing and just making, you know, conversation, or if there's like specificity towards only some people use them as paperweights and other people don't care about them or take advantage of them or something. Who knows?
I didn't read into that line.
I didn't either
at all.
I didn't think anything of it. I think it was literally just to show that, like, yes, we don't care about them.
They're
like,
worthless here.
Nobody has any bearing on what they do because they don't do jack shit. Well, and one of the really interesting things too is I don't know if you guys knew this, like the whole thing with the Infinity Stones is they work in their respective universe. They don't work outside of it. So there was like a DC Marvel crossover where Darkseid held the Infinity Stones, but they didn't do anything for him because he was not in the universe in which they existed. But I was like, okay, like it'd be kind of fun to throw a Darkseid over from the Snyder Cut in the MCU somehow someday. This is what it's all going to be eventually. It's all going to be tied together.
That would be dope. That would be very dope. And also, Dave, you brought that up in the group chat. Like, was that Agent Carter in the background?
Right. Or see, I thought about that, and I watched it a second time, and I thought it was either Agent Carter or like that was just how the chicks dressed, you know, like back then, like the hair, the clothes, like we didn't really get a close up. I feel like that was like, you know, you like a call center in Mad Men, all those chicks had the curls in their hair and they're fucking putting the things. And like, I feel like it was so quick that like, it could have just been like the outfit, like, oh, you know, it had the Agent Carter vibe, but at the same time, like, I feel like it fucking looked like her too. Like, cause I watched that little snippet so many times just to try and like squint in and be like, is that?
It did, and that's been much topic of conversation because of the fact that when obviously Steve Rogers went back and left all the stones, he decided to stay. So it wouldn't necessarily mean that she's captive, obviously, but more than likely she was grabbed by the TVA and questioned as to why this timeline is has now been altered. It just wasn't altered to the point where it would create a Nexus event, because as you all may have seen, there's like a certain level that they have to keep the timeline in, and if it doesn't get to that point, then they don't care.
That was the red line, right? When it gets to that red line, then that's like, oh shit, we need to fucking And they were like, that part there, the danger multiverse, like they were literally like, they pretty much almost said like multiverse of madness is coming, like that, like literally just like in the little snippets that they were saying. So like, I definitely picked that up and I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
I do wonder if it was her, if it was Agent Carter, then I wonder if there's going to be like some aspect of the What If series. That maybe like those stories are like they're what ifs, but they are actual stories from alternate universes, and maybe by the end of every single what if story, it's kind of like, and then the TVA shows up and needs to correct something because things went a little too awry. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Speaking of that, real quick, did any of you see the leaks of the Lego sets that they're releasing tied into the what if episodes? There's a couple of interesting ones. I'm excited. Did you guys want to hear about them at all?
Yeah.
I don't think they give away too much. One of them is Tony Stark, Sakaar Iron Man. So Tony getting to Sakaar instead of Hulk.
Interesting.
And fighting alongside Thor there. I thought that one would be pretty cool. We know obviously they're going to do the Star-Lord, T'Challa Star-Lord story. And we know Agent Carter is going to be Captain Britain
America.
instead
Captain
of
Britain.
But along with that, what I didn't realize is they're also supposed to have Steve be Iron Lad in that one, but he's gonna be gonna be donning like the original Iron Man suit in that What If. So I don't know. I'm excited about What If.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when that's.
I think that's
coming out.
It is June.
June,
July or August. I think it's after. Loki. So there'll probably be
like right after.
They'll probably have like the Black Widow release,
Okay.
and then,
All right. So what I would the question I want to ask on this too is, what are your thoughts on the little girl in the church pointing when he asked, "Do you know who did this?" She has a lot to say about it too. But yeah, so what's up with the devil horns? Was it a nod to the fact that the fans were calling for Mephisto so much
Don't do that. Don't do it.
in WandaVision, as a little haha moment, like, yep, we're just gonna continue this Mephisto thing. In my opinion, I thought it was very reminiscent of Loki. I mean, we know that it's Loki. We know that they're searching for a variant of Loki. And when he wears the helmet, it has horns. So that was my thought, but there's still those people out there that are still saying Mephisto. But we just know, and I didn't notice the blue in his mouth until now.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't notice that either. Yeah, with the kablooey bubble gum.
The gum,
Yep,
yeah. I didn't notice that either.
That's wild.
But that's just funny. And it's very reminiscent of just
How did
like
that get there though, by the way? Like very few churches have stained glass windows of Satan or devil-like creatures. Even in 18 whatever or 1600.
Was that 1600 that one was?
It was
something like
that.
That
was like
pre-civil times
or something.
Yeah. But even during then's, like I don't think they unless it was like one of those like non-Christian churches, like
I mean, clearly it's supposed to be Loki. Clearly it's supposed to be Loki because it's dressed in green with the gold triangular thing up around the neck.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like,
yeah.
But
it's definitely him. But how did it get there?
Yeah.
I wonder if that crescent moon has a meaning as well.
It's moon
and
night.
Also, I don't know if we're jumping around a lot, but I wanted to know who do you guys think is the shadowy figure? Which variant of Loki is this?
I think it's Lady Loki. I think there's been enough buzz around Lady Loki being part of it, and the fact that they didn't inherently show at the because if it is just Loki, we know who Loki is. Why would they not just show us another Tom Hiddleston Loki? If they're hiding something, then it's got to be some sort of bigger reveal. So that's my guess.
That was also my guess too. I keep hearing other stories of it being, and I'm not familiar with the Loki comics, but it's like a more sinister Loki. It's like a very like the most evil version of Loki does exist, and they're saying that it's that version. I just forgot what the name that they gave him was, which also makes sense. It's like we don't want it to be. Like a lot of people are speculating again with Lady Loki and whatnot, and it could just be another person that looks like Loki. But there's I agree with you that it has to be something where the person looks completely different.
Yeah. I feel like it does, right? Because they hid the face, and that was kind of interesting to me that they decided to hide even it was like right before that Mobius had said it's you. Like he told him that it's that it's Loki. So we know it's Loki, but then that whole series after that, it was just a black shadowy figure. So that gives me more of a leaning towards it being a lady version, and as well as the fact that let's see if I could pull it up here. The card where it describes Loki, his his information. It says his sex is fluid right there.
Yeah.
Which is random, I guess. I don't know where, if that's where that came from or why they added that in there, but it does lend more to the idea that that he can be in both genders, I guess. In the
because it's not the variant Loki, it's Loki in general. So yeah, if there's we know that Lady Loki exists,
son.
Yeah,
we know that he had a last name.
I don't think they ever said it before, but I mean, it makes they always call Thor Odin's son, right? And so he is the son of Laufey, technically, right? I don't know what they are, trolls, elves, something.
Frost giants.
Frost giants. There you go.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would call him Laufey's son, but I don't know that we've ever heard that in the MCU previously.
It was humanizing. They've never, it's like, oh, this is just a dude with a first name and a last name. Like, oh, okay, cool, I get it.
Yeah,
they've never said it in the MCU, but it's been his character full name in the 616 universe for a long time.
Dope.
Can we talk about those what are those grenades or whatever that they throw to reset the timelines?
Yeah.
Do we know exactly what those do? Like at the beginning when they toss the one in the desert there before they bounce, like does that consume everybody and like Men in Black flashy thing them? Like what is actually happening there?
They seem conflicted about using them. Like they seem like they feel bad using them, and even Mobius, when he's talking to the little girl in the church, I forget what he says, but he kind of almost offers a condolence for what they're about to do. So I wonder if it's literally destroying the timeline that's been created and effectively killing everybody that's now
I see.
in that timeline, so that the other timeline can continue on without any sort of repercussion. So
that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think they're just straight up nuking timelines, which I think is probably going to be a part of this overarching story of should the TVA really have as much power as they do? Are we going to actually see that by the end of this, the multiverse is another step towards multiverse of madness because they're going to let timelines go because they've had too much power for too long? I don't know, but I definitely got a vibe that they don't like it, what they have to do.
I think we should mention here also that the head writer of Loki is also the head writer of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I did see a clip of an interview where he referenced someone asked him about the purple. So that reset bomb, forget what they actually call it in the show, but it starts to kind of turn purple magic-y, which has always been kind of associated with dark magic in the MCU. So it'd be very interesting to see if he connects. I mean, I'm assuming Loki is going to connect directly into Multiverse of Madness, same writer, but also weaving in some WandaVision love from there, right? And I mean, Agatha Harkness, her powers were always purple as well, so that would be kind of crazy to see. I never thought about the fact that they might literally be blowing up the timeline in that space and then kind of just resetting everything to make sure it's all on the sacred timeline. That's wild.
Yeah, another weird thing that somebody picked up was that Tom Hiddleston had something on social media that he was talking about his 40th birthday. He was on set as Loki. His 40th birthday was like February 9th of this year. Loki would have definitely been finished filming, and Multiverse of Madness has been filming in the UK. So like somebody was like, if he's filming as Loki on his 40th birthday, and we know that he is currently in the UK, probably filming something for Multiverse of Madness, even if it's small.
Interesting.
But
that's good detective work, Steve.
That was good.
That's very good.
Somebody else found it. I wasn't paying any attention to Hiddleston's birthday.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I wouldn't put it past them, but also with everything going on with with the state of the world and how many changes had to be made to WandaVision and how many changes had to be made in general to the overarching storyline. I also don't put it past that he was possibly putting some finishing touches on like one of the last episodes of Loki or something like that.
True.
So, but it's a very good point. Could be. I could very well see him showing up in Multiverse of Madness. It's not out there, but also it's like maybe he was just filming still some scenes for Loki.
Maybe they had reshoots, but we got to speculate, right?
Word.
This is
all right.
I have to bring you guys down because the last time we speculated, it created horrible effects for us.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. I'm throwing out a speculation question. Steve brought this up, but is Kang the Conqueror going to be introduced as one of the Timekeepers?
He looked like it. I saw they did the pictures, like the face, the outfit. I mean, it definitely. There's definitely lined up.
Two little screenshots I grabbed here. One of the Timekeepers, which the center one kind of looks like Kang.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they zoomed in on the judge at the end, like that started to really look like what's his name, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
It could be. I don't know. That I don't know enough about it, so that's why I kind of, Steve. I'll throw this over to Steve to kind of clue us in.
I think so. Kang is a classic Fantastic Four villain, and he is actually a time traveling version of Nathaniel Richards, Reed's father. He's from the 31st century. That's where he becomes Kang, and then he bounces around timelines all over the place, and he conquers universes by doing so. So there's definitely a place for. He is not superpowered in any way. He's just brilliant. So very much a Fantastic Four trope. You got Reed, you got Doctor Doom, you got Nathaniel, you got Reed's son. Every single one of them are just brilliant. And then obviously bouncing around the timeline. And again, I keep theorizing that the penultimate story that we're going to see in another 5-6 years, however long it takes to get to the end of phase 6 or whatever they want to do, the Infinity War level next event, I think, is going to be Secret Wars Battle World, which if they follow the what was it? The Secret Wars that ended, I want to say, in 2018. If they follow that storyline, would involve all of the multiverses basically crumbling in on each other, destroying each other, and Doom saving it all. I don't know. I think it's definitely. I think it's a very real possibility that they're introducing Kang now, and then whatever's going to be happening in Quantumanium, where he's actually like the villain. Could be a bit more of the backstory, but I'm excited for it. Kang's an interesting character to bring in. Another weird one.
That would be wild.
So
yeah, we might see the beginning of that, and that could also be something that they threw in last minute.
could also be that.
Yeah, I mean that we might see it. Was there? I feel like I'm missing something also that I really wanted to talk about. I'm sure you guys will bring it up.
This was one of your questions. Where was the TVA during the Infinity Saga? Was that all part of the sacred timeline?
Didn't Mobius say something about like it was supposed to happen? Yeah,
they referenced it. They said it wasn't Mobius. It was the judge when Loki said, "Well, the Avengers were the ones who are traveling through time, so they're the ones you're looking for." And she said, "Nope, that they were supposed to do that. You're the only one."
Weird.
Wasn't that like pre-Thanos though? Like, wasn't that like 2012? Like before?
Yeah, but that's when he referenced Tony Stark's cologne or his smell, saying that I knew there was two Tony Starks there, like that Axe body spray that Ant-Man talked about, just a little too strong, and I can tell that there was two Tony Starks in the same room. So they must be jumping around the timeline, and that's how I ended up with the Tesseract to begin with.
And then Loki asked like if the TVA like approved or disapproved, and Mobius was like, "It's not really a matter of approval or disapproval." Right. And then he trailed off and didn't really finish that thought. Right. So we don't really know how they judge, what they're going to intervene with so far anyway. And I just you see the Infinity Stones in the drawer like that, and you're like, shit, dude, fucking people were dying. Like,
seems like that red
Black
line,
Widow, like,
seems like that red line.
That should have been a red liner right there, right? Like, they should have thrown those fucking things in, reset a bunch of those timelines, and fuck, dude.
Unless what the Ancient One told Bruce is like really what ends up fixing it. You come back to the exact moment you pluck the stone from it, then the timeline doesn't deviate. So if the Avengers followed that rule, then maybe that's why the TVA doesn't do anything. And maybe the fact that they in the prime timeline that happens, the TVA doesn't care about them being taken out in the first place because they know they're just going to be right back to it. Right? Because my assumption is that the TVA experiences time or understands time all at once, kind of like the aliens in Arrival or something. Like, we know what's going to happen. It's fine.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
nice.
That kind of leads into a question that I have. They didn't necessarily say this, but they kind of alluded to and especially when you go back and think of how the Ancient One spoke about it. She also didn't say specifically that the timeline splits because the Infinity Stone's been removed, but it seems like if they've got a drawer full of Infinity Stones and nothing was really broken because they brought those Infinity Stones back, are all those variants that they are processing only people that steal Infinity Stones? Is that the only thing that splits the timeline, or do you think that there's other variants?
I thought like maybe the Infinity Stones, maybe the TVA was putting them back. Maybe they were taking some of those and fixing some of the timelines since they just had a whole shitload of them there. Like, they could be taking them to get them, off the streets, so to speak. But maybe they're also, maybe they're planting them. Maybe they're like,
that cart
in the 90s planting
cart
crack.
Got vaporized, and everything within that cart got vaporized. So
what's up with that?
Maybe they were just legitimately like, they just don't do anything. Well, also the other thing is the Infinity Stones in that were plucked from the timeline are the same Infinity Stones from the same universe. They're just staying within that one timeline. I think because they are kept within that branch, that's probably why they still have power. That's probably why they're still able to be moved around. I don't know.
So are you saying that you can be in a different timeline in the same universe? See, or is another timeline another universe? That's where I'm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't
A lot
think
of explaining to do.
I don't think that they said that, and maybe I'm just misinterpreting what you're saying, but I don't think that they said that the Infinity Stones are pointless or useless. They're just useless in the TVA's
In the TVA,
world.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So as far as like the Infinity Stones within that universe, I don't like that. They didn't care about putting the Tesseract back. Like they just put it in the office too. Like it just moved along, even though that was the one that moves along that timeline and whatnot.
That's
Like
true.
it's
Yeah.
like that timeline is already fucked. So it's like,
Well, and
we
plus
don't.
they erased that timeline too,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
because
true.
they
did
did
drop
the
it.
bomb thing in the
They dropped the
universe
bomb,
or in
yeah.
the desert. So that's maybe that's part of it. Is
Can
like,
we,
it's already plucked out.
I want to talk about Casey, because I feel like that dude was super, super chill. Like when you saw him just like, grab the, didn't he grab the Tesseract at the beginning or somebody touched it. And I was
He's like, what is this? Yeah.
what the fuck? Just like, how are they holding that? Like, I thought, people will fucking die when they grab that shit. And he just tossed it in the desk. And I don't know who that actor is. I don't think I've seen him in it, but like that dude was funny. Like that dude was really funny.
He's a comedian. I feel like I've seen him in a
Is
couple
he?
things.
He's
Yeah.
in the good.
Yeah.
He's in the Good Place. He's one of.
That's
Has
where I
anyone
know
watched
him
Good
from.
Place?
Yeah, that's where I know
Oh
him
man,
from.
yeah, and he was kind of like the same type of guy in it too,
Yeah.
which I liked. He's like,
That's why
I don't
that's
know
why
what's
I said
going on.
earlier. Yeah, I love that scene where he's just like, "What is this blue thing?" Exactly the one that you were talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, "That is a Tesseract. You be careful." He's like, "Yeah, sounds dumb."
Yeah,
He's like, as they're
I
like
caught that on
carrying
the
him out.
The second viewing, I didn't hear that the first time, and when I heard it the second time, I laughed really hard because that was supposed to say sounds dumb. It was just like it was off screen too. Like you didn't even see him say it. He's just like sounds dumb.
Right.
That's great.
So good. So
No,
good. I'm excited.
I love the comedy that they're weaving in. I think they're doing a great job with that so far.
The ticket scene in that, like
he's
furiously looking for. He's like, oh shit! Like,
I love that. I love that.
He just holds it up, and you're like, oh shit, dude.
I want to know what that kid did
I tried to get a ticket. Yeah.
Like picked up by the TVA also. He's like, oh, you don't know who my dad is? He's like a managing director at Goldman Sachs. Like, fuck you, douche.
I tried to get a ticket. He wouldn't give me one.
Yeah, right? Just straight up lying to the guy.
He's like, dude, I was like 20 feet back. I can see what you were doing.
There's only two people in there. You can hear what's going on.
That definitely looked like that dude got like vaporized too. That wasn't that wasn't like the little button that they keep using on Loki and he ended up using on the guard. Like that wasn't just putting him back somewhere else. It was like, we're all set.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the Grandmaster's staff that melted his cousin.
I feel like when they slap you with the vaporization stick, like it destroys your current version on the non-running timeline. Like you still exist in the sacred timeline, but your person that got, kicked off.
Or do you exist if you bumped yourself out of it, like physically? Like
it depends if they reset the timeline after they grabbed you, right? So for instance, with Loki, right? They grabbed him out of the desert, reset the timeline. He still continued to exist and go through the sacred timeline all the way until he was killed by Thanos. But he's got like this variant version of himself that now lives in the TVA, and then there's also apparently other variants that have to be like past versions of him because we know that he dies in 2018. So I guess some past version of him, which is kind of weird that he doesn't know this, but I guess it makes sense if they reset the timeline.
That's one of the other really like interesting things with the Kang theory is that there's actually a story. Part of Kang's background is he becomes, I'm going to mention Iron Lad again. He becomes Iron Lad. He's a good guy. Nathaniel Richards is a good guy. And he realizes at the end of some long drawn out story that like he needs to deviate from his specific timeline to become Kang so that he can also become Iron Lad. And it's like,
Huh.
it's kind of like a mind bender, but like,
That is a mind fuck.
do the timelines need to deviate in specific places to kind of what they said about Loki? You exist to make the better of people. So I don't know. Crazy, man.
All right, hard hitting questions here. What's the nightmare department? That kind of was, I don't know if that's just like a throwaway line to be a little joke there, or are they teasing the fans that know that Nightmare exists, or is there really a Nightmare department controlled by Nightmare?
I think it's the last. I think there's a legitimate part of this overarching TVA whatever that, you know, Nightmare is in charge of that specific realm, and that's his whole deal. But yeah, I don't know, but I like that one too. I was like, ooh, Nightmare department. We're gonna see something there.
I like that line when he's just like, yeah, if you wanna try to take that place down, I'll help you.
Yeah.
I'll help you, yeah.
And what's happening in that same scene? That's when like Loki looks outside and he's like, "Whoa, I thought you said there was no magic here." Walk referenced it earlier, but what actually is happening there? Like, there's a city. The TVA as a whole, like,
yeah, I was gonna say, is that all the TVA, or is it just the building?
That's what I would have assumed, was it was just the building, but now I'm like,
it looked like it was like a dome almost, like it was sort of enclosed in a way, or maybe that was just because it was so dense with all the buildings, and I had like a Blade Runner vibe to it.
I was thinking like, what was that, Valerian and the City of the Thousand Planets or whatever? Like it kind of had like lots of things happening. It was also like a little Star Wars vibe. It just had like lots of things going on in these huge giant structures. But yeah, it did also kind of look like it rounded around at the edge. But I don't know if all of that is TVA, and that's just like where people, you know, people got to live somewhere, right? So they drive home at the end of the day. They clock out of the TVA.
They fly home.
Yeah,
all the people in the TVA created by the Timekeepers? Or who? Tell me about the Timekeepers. Who created the Timekeepers?
The Eternals.
I'm guessing there's an eternal tie there. Yeah. I'm guessing there's an eternal tie. I just don't know.
We're gonna find out.
Or who are the?
Or is it the Celestials?
Is that the record?
That's what I was going to say. Could it be the Celestials
that record everything? Speaking of record, what about the stack of dialogue? Loki's like, "Is this everything you've ever said?" And then every time he would say something, they would add a fucking paper to it, dude. That was really funny. Just that little
someone referenced too that is like, isn't Loki over 1,000 years old, and that stack should probably be a lot bigger.
Yeah, there's a little stack there. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I've definitely said more than that for sure.
Speaking of the transcription room, though, hard-hitting questions again. Is the cat in the transcription room on the floor a Flurkin? We've already had Flurkins introduced into the MCU. Right, so they exist. You think that's this little guy is also gonna potentially eat someone's face off?
Flurkins hold pocket universes inside of them, so I would not be surprised if the TVA, who's monitoring the multiverse, has Flurkins running around with their little pocket universes.
That would be slick.
Be hilarious. I would love if they just had a bunch of Flurkins at one point running around.
Oh, I'm totally down for that. Give me more Flurkin action.
No, you guys don't like cats, though.
Yeah, no. I want a Flurkin.
I mean, I like them when they open their mouths up like that, but I'm not.
That's not real cats, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock broke down. He's gone.
That's all right.
He had enough Mephisto talk. He saw Danny's comment and he was like, "I'm out of this bitch right now.
I'm done with this."
Well, let's see what Danny said. Casey is Mephisto. Awesome.
Everything is
good shit.
Mephisto, Danny. Everything is Mephisto.
Yet again.
That's how you do. All right, guys. I don't know. Do we have anything else that you want to kind of wrap up on this first episode, or what are you looking towards in episode 2? Let's say not for the whole series, but just episode 2.
More flirkins.
More
I like
flirkins.
Ashley. More flirkins.
She likes cats, so.
I thought
love
the
cats.
DB Cooper reference was pretty slick.
That's what I was
Yeah,
actually
it was
hoping for.
random. That was random. I didn't know.
I'm not sure I understood it.
Right.
Like
What was it for?
they said it was like a bet of Thor, or like he lost a bet to Thor.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But why was the losing the bet meant you have to go to Midgard and rob a bank and
leave money behind and
leave
set
money
off
behind
this whole
and
urban
pretend
legend
to
for years.
blow up a plane? I mean, it was a cool pop culture reference. I'm just not sure I followed the logic behind it.
I think that's
Right.
all it really was, is just like a cool little pop culture reference, like DB Cooper, holy crap, and not only that, but when we were young, we had some similarly stupid ideas to do stupid things. So you could just chalk it up to, there were kids, he made them a bet, hey, go mess with the humans, or and go mess with Midgard and do these, whatever, and he did it. So I think if we're questioning it much more than that, it's just like, nah,
like Asgardian ding dong ditch is what that was pretty much. That was like the equivalent.
And they showed that what's his name? Scourge, or why can I not remember the dude's name that was in Ragnarok that took over for Heimdall, guarding the gate. He had all of his stuff.
Yeah.
He had his guns and everything.
Was it Carl Urban? Was it?
It was
Yeah,
Carl,
that was
Carl
Carl
Urban.
Urban,
I just don't remember.
Right.
What
Yeah,
his
I don't
character
remember
was.
the.
I think it was
Yeah, I don't
Scourge,
remember the
but
name.
yeah. I mean that maybe that's just like a Asgardian thing. They like goofing off and stealing, messing with us and stealing our stuff, and taking millions of dollars, or I think it was like $10,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
Would have been worth a lot back then. But I would like more like little goofy nods like that, throughout the overall story, and if they kind of do callbacks to any other things we've already seen in the MCU that maybe Loki didn't have anything to do with that we knew about, but maybe we're throwing them in. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. That'd be slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun series.
It's so far it's super fun.
5 more episodes.
Yeah.
We got 5 more episodes, tons more to talk about. I can just see it getting deeper and deeper. They've already shown in some of the teasers more of these like little pop culture things, or things that kind of Loki may or may not have had an impact on. Like I know there's like the Pompeii that he's there for. There's the I'm not sure I still understand how he's gonna be like President Loki, but that's gonna be kind of cool to see.
I think President Loki is gonna be like a goof off thing that like gets him in a little bit of trouble or something. Like that's my guess, is he's gonna go off and be like, haha, and then they're gonna come back and be like, no, this wasn't the deal. So I don't know. Whatever they do though, I'm excited about that one too.
No, that's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Walk, anything you're looking forward to, not for the season, but just next episode?
For the next episode, I'm looking forward to, because like you said, they kind of built him up pretty far in this first episode, and they got him on board. So I think that the next episode is going to be more of the detective style, obviously. So I'm looking forward to that, of them having more of a buddy cop feel to it, and their transactions together. and seeing them actually go to the next actual mission. Maybe is that what it is? Where something may have happened that has to do with Loki. That's my thought, that we're gonna get one of those kind of episodes. More than likely to find out what happened at the end of this first one. You know, to that scene.
Yeah.
And not only that, but what wasn't there a canister at the end too?
He's taking
There
the
was,
devices. Whoever this other variant or whatever it is taking those like reset bombs.
Yeah.
So is he trying to like
make a
reset
mega one?
everything?
Or,
yeah. Reset the Prime timeline or something like that.
That'd be crazy. Dope. Well, I see Ash is looking for more Flurkins, so hopefully
I'm all about it.
they provide that
I'm
in
with
the
Ash.
next episode or beyond. All right,
You know,
guys. I
Ash
think
more
this
than
is
Dave.
You Flurkin lovers, I will never understand you.
Flurkin lurvers. All right, guys. I think this was good. Really good conversation. First time around. Hopefully, if you're not watching live or if you're watching on the replay, definitely still feel free to leave comments either on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll be checking those out and responding. Great time. Look for us next week for episode 2 as we continue to talk about, break down, and discuss Loki, a pretty dope MCU show on Disney Plus. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and don't forget,
grab your Loki charms.
If you are watching this and you are not familiar with Insensitive Culture, we are a weekly podcast, and you can find us on any podcast platform, as well as full episodes on YouTube. So check us out, homie.
Check it out, homie. Peace.
Peace.